Hey, live, good. Excuse me. Hey everybody, I'm Luke. Welcome. We're going to be doing a live English Q&A today. So hopefully we have some people who will ask questions. Q&A means question and answer. So I'm here to answer your English questions for those of you who are learning English. I want to say at the very beginning, I hope that you can, if you like my channel, subscribe. Click on the link to subscribe, or click on the, not the link, the red button to subscribe. And also, check out my other videos. I have more than 200 videos for English learners that are free. Okay, also, if you're a very serious English learner, make sure you check out my Udemy courses. Udemy is basically full video courses. And those are not free, but they're also not expensive. And they're for people who are really seriously learning and want to improve their English skills. Okay, so yes, today we'll be doing our Q&A. That means you need to ask questions about vocabulary, grammar points, things that are difficult for you as you are working on your spoken English, your fluency. If you want to ask questions about culture, that's fine too. So whatever questions you have, I'm here to answer them. And we've done these on this channel for about, I don't know, 3 months maybe. Yeah, I think about 3 months. I really enjoy it. I think it's quite fun. So hopefully we have some good questions today. A little bit about me. Hello, Beta. Beta is here. Good to see you. If you don't know much about me, my name is a neighborhood in New York City, in Queens today, kind of walking around a bit, and we're going to be walking through a very quiet and peaceful neighborhood as we talk about English today. Beta, how are you doing? How are you doing today? I hope you're having a good evening? Morning? What time is it where you are? This neighborhood has a lot of convenient places like Rite Aid. This is a kind of convenience store slash prescription drugstore. Then there's a train line here. This is called the LIRR train line. 20 p.m. That means, Beta, that you are, let's see, it's 1:20 p.m. here. 12:20 would be GMT. That would mean you're in England, but you're not. That's 1 hour behind that. Oh, you in Iceland? Is that right? Yeah, it must be. Is that your location? Also, I always forget how to say people's names. Yes, sir. I really want to go. This is my favorite part of this neighborhood. This is an old European style tower, and it's very old, and this whole area feels very European. I really like the architecture. Quite cool. All right, we've got a question here. Dear sir, is there a mistake in this sentence? In related to her carrying had been kept under the carpet till recent times. Yes, I would say that there is several, a mistake or more. I don't understand what it means. Actually, Rokol, I can't understand the sentence. Maybe you can try again. Yes, Saturday is, instead of saying living day, let's just say live day. And I do really want to start another live stream and do 2 per week, but I don't think I'll be doing that very soon. But I'd like to, in the future, start doing more live streams each week. Might start a sort of membership type thing, or maybe do it on Patreon. Although I think Patreon is not very popular for people outside of America. Yeah, so Rokol, if you try that sentence again, maybe I can help you with it. What is the difference between onto and into? How are you? I'm actually very well today. I just had lunch, a delicious lunch with my wife. We ate at a small restaurant that has all organic food and cruelty-free food. That means the meat, for example, comes from animals who were raised naturally and had the chance to walk around and eat grass. All of the meat comes from free-range farmers, and I like that because I don't like, hey, hi, I don't like when animals suffer. I feel bad when I eat regular meat. In fact, I don't eat regular meat or regular eggs, just because, think about it, how does a chicken live? Not very happily, normally. How does a cow live? Not very happily, normally. But if they're just walking around, happily outside, eating grass, singing songs, and then the farmer comes and that's okay. I don't mind that so much. I could deal with that. So, yeah, no problem, Nestor. Happy to help. By the way, guys, we are here to answer questions. So if you have questions about English words, vocabulary, American culture, pronunciation, anything at all that you may be facing when it comes to your spoken English and the work that you're doing on that. So the question is, what's the difference between into and onto? It's actually very, very simple. Rahul will never let me forget a question. Hilarious. So it's actually really simple. If you know the difference between in and on, then you know the difference between into and onto. In, for example, means one thing is outside, and then there's another thing here beside it, like a cup, and then that thing goes into the cup, we could say, from outside to inside. So it goes in, we can say. Where is it? It is in the cup. It's like there's a kid's birthday party over here going on. Sorry, I'm a little distracted now. Some kind of party? I don't know. Okay, so in. In means not outside, right? Very simple. And on means not under. It's very hard to explain in and on without using the words. Okay, so there's a table and there's a cat. If the table is under the cat, then the cat is on the table, right? Okay? So it's a thing that the cat can be on, the table is. And the cup is a thing that the ball can be in, right? So those are the same. The difference is, if something is in something, then it's not just flat. There are things around you. So you're in something. I'm in a city. I'm in a house. I'm in my bedroom. There are walls around me. There's stuff all around me. On, just below me. Only focuses on what's below or under. Now, into and onto is then about the actions. So, the cat jumps onto the table. Now the cat is on the table, but before that happens, before the cat can be on the table, the cat has to jump onto. So here it's about the action. Onto is about the action of jumping on. Into is the same thing. I threw the ball, let's say a ping pong ball, into the cup. Threw the ping pong ball into the cup. So that's also pretty simple. Okay, it's about the action. Once I have thrown it into the cup, now it is in the cup. So that's pretty simple, right? One is about the action, and one is about simply where it is. Okay, pretty easy. Hello, Lucky in Kuwait. Where am I located? We're in New York, New York City. You look fantastic today, like the outdoor live lesson. Oh, thank you. Hee hee hee. How to learn word without meaning. How to understand new word by word. How to understand without meaning. Words without meaning. How to understand new words by words. Oh, do you mean how do you understand words if you don't look in the dictionary? Or do you mean how to understand words without translation? Is that what you mean? So I find the best way to actually explain words is to use examples. If you see enough sentences and enough examples with the word that you're trying to learn, you're going to get a feeling for it. There are quite a few words that I know that would be very difficult to give a dictionary definition for. There are quite a few words that I know that are kind of hard to explain. Like I think the word in is hard to explain because it's such a basic thing that how do you say it without using the word? Well, it's hard, right? So the best thing to do is to come up with examples and learn it in, we say, context. Learning in context is very powerful. Learning by example is very powerful. This is why I really recommend that everybody should read English books. If your English is not good and you don't read, well, duh, right? Some of the best English speakers I know who speak English as a second language read English books because they enjoy it. I have a good friend, she's Chinese, but her first language is Chinese. Her second language is what's her second language? It might be Hindi. No, I can't remember now. And then English is her third language, but she speaks English really well. And she loves reading. So it's not that reading makes her a better speaker, but it gives her the understanding of the language that she needs to be a better speaker, the foundation. So then when you're reading, you see those words, you see that new word in context, and you can feel what it means. Not always. Of course, you may need to use a dictionary. By the way, the one I would recommend, the best one, vocabulary.com. It's very good because the explanations, the definitions are very clear and simple. They give lots of examples, and also you can add them to word lists and you can hear the pronunciation. So learn words by understanding the way that they're used. Very powerful. And make your own examples, right? If I'm trying to explain a word and I give 10 examples of sentences that include that word, you're gonna be able to feel that meaning, right? So if I say the cat is on the table, the ping pong ball is on my hand. On Thursday, I went to the supermarket. After lots of these examples, you're going to have a pretty good feeling about how the word on is used, even if you won't really be able to easily explain the definition of the word. Okay, have I answered your question? What's the difference between reservation and appointment? Reservation and appointment. Good question. So, they do have basically the same general meaning. It means generally to be at a certain place at a certain time, and that time you arrange beforehand, right? So whether you're going to the doctor or you're going to have dinner, you're going to be somewhere at a certain time. But reservation generally focuses more on holding something that you're going to experience, perhaps by yourself, and it's not really about the other person specifically who's with you. Whereas appointment would be focused on the person you're going to meet. For example, you would say a doctor's appointment. You wouldn't say a doctor's reservation, because you're going there to meet the doctor and the doctor's going to help you. You might say, for example, I have an appointment to meet a friend. You could say an appointment to meet a friend next week on Wednesday. An appointment, focusing on the friend. It's just agreeing to meet someone at a specific time, whether it's a professional, and it's often a professional like a doctor, or sometimes a friend or someone you know to have lunch. So that's the focus of that. Then reservation is about saving something to experience later. You can make a flight reservation. Well, then you're kind of experiencing the flight later when you fly from one place to another. Now that's also called a booking, and a booking and a reservation are kind of the same thing. Bookings might be used more for a hotel, but they're basically the same meaning. The reservation is common for services like flights, and more common would be a restaurant. So make a restaurant reservation, or make a reservation at a spa to get a massage, perhaps. Make a reservation at that spa. Okay, so basically same meaning, focus is different. Hope I answered your question. Okay, I'm interested to know why I can understand you, but it's difficult for me to follow movies. This is a really great question. So, I've been teaching English for more than 7 years, long time. And because of that, you know, just like anybody who does something for a long time, you get better at doing the thing that you do over time. So you understand me because I want you to understand me. If I were right now having a conversation with my brother and you were watching, suddenly you would say, whoa, what happened? Why can't I understand anything he's saying? What's going on here? It's not about the speed. It's not about speaking speed. One misunderstanding people have is that they can't understand because of speed. It's not it. That's not it. The way I choose to speak with most people, especially those who are not native English speakers, the way that I speak is careful. I carefully choose my words. And I may sometimes speak a little quickly, but I will focus on, hello, Luciano from Brazil. Welcome. Looking forward to your question. So I'm choosing my words pretty carefully, and I'm focusing on or stressing certain words as a way to help you for just a moment pause and process what you just heard. So you might hear me say one word longer and slower. And that's on purpose. That's on purpose to give you a chance to get the meaning of the last thing I just said. Then I'm also not using that many local native expressions or common American idioms or expressions. And that's why you can't understand movies. Again, it's not because they're speaking too fast and you just can't hear what they're saying. It's because they're using a lot of idioms and making a lot of references to other things that you don't know. Now this has two parts. One part of this is the part of the expressions themselves. Idioms and expressions, they have a meaning that isn't clear from the words that you see. The example I always give is somebody says, ride shotgun. Ride shotgun. Well, that's an American expression. What does that mean? Ride shotgun. A shotgun is a kind of gun. You ride on a gun like a horse? What? No. Ride shotgun means to sit in the front passenger seat of the car beside the driver. But I wouldn't say that when I'm talking to a student, and I wouldn't say that in this live stream because I know that most of you probably don't know that. So I'm not using many of those things, those idioms, those expressions that you're not used to on purpose, okay? So you can speak clearly and you can speak quickly and still make sure that people understand basically what you're saying. Again, it's not about speed. It's not about speed. The other part of it is references. So I may say something. Oh, by the way, the other type of expression is called a phrasal verb. Phrasal verbs are one of the most common type of misunderstanding. They are tough to understand because they have many meanings. I'm working on a course about phrasal verbs and also a course about American expressions. So look for that in the next couple of months. Working on some new courses. By the way, if you haven't already checked out my courses, they're not very expensive and they're really good for improving pronunciation and also thinking in English. So if you want to check out my courses, look in the link in the description. I think you'll enjoy them, and they're quite cheap actually. I think they're about half price right now. And if you do take the course, I hope you can leave a comment, leave a rating. That really helps me out as well. Okay, anyway, the other part of it is references. So, okay, if I go to Australia tomorrow and I hear people talking, probably 15%, maybe even more, of what they're saying is completely mysterious to me. Even though I understand every single word, I, a native English speaker from America, going to Australia, will not understand 15% of what the Australians who are speaking English are saying. What's going on there? That's crazy, right? Well, think about it in your own language. This is true for every language. Wherever you live, there are things in the culture that when you're talking about something, you will reference. Whether it's a movie, or an idea, or a person, or honestly, whatever, something in the culture that's very local to you and the people around you. Even in your own family, there might be things that you will say with your family members that are references to your past experiences, to things you did together, and someone on the outside who hears that says, "What are you talking about?" Sometimes people say that to me and my brother. Native English speakers will be talking about something and we're referencing our past experiences together, our shared experiences, and because of that, people don't understand what we're saying sometimes. What are you guys talking about? So not only do you have references within your family, but you also have references within your workplace, you also have references within your community, you also have references within your country and your culture. And all of those things give you smaller and smaller and smaller circles of understandability, right? So people on the outside of those circles, will understand much less. The farther you are outside of the circle, the less you understand, unless the person who's speaking knows that they're speaking with someone outside of the circle. So you guys, most of you guys, are outside of my circles. Most of you are outside of my family circle. I can say all of you. You're outside of my local circle, maybe my New York circle. You're outside of my cultural circle, probably. And that's fine. I'm outside of yours. We come from different places. So I'm speaking to you knowing that, so I'm speaking differently. But that's the other reason you don't understand movies, because when people are in an American movie talking about something, they're referencing things within their circle. Does that make sense? They're talking about things within their cultural circle. So it's not even the words, it's the ideas. 2 levels: words, phrases, expressions, ideas, cultural circle. So what can you do there? Well, you can learn expressions, you can learn idioms. Those are things you can learn. There are courses about how to understand those. But how do you understand culture? How do you understand those references? Well, you have to know the culture. I'm starting to understand more and more Chinese references, so that when people talk about things in Chinese, I'm beginning to understand more and more. Now, I'm not that good at Chinese yet, but I'm getting more and more. And if you are genuinely interested in English-speaking culture, you like to read books, you like to watch news, you like to watch movies and TV shows, you genuinely, deeply, truly enjoy it, you want to know more, not just because you want better English, but because you're really interested, you're going to very quickly improve and be able to start understanding these things. I have a good friend who's Chinese. He's lived in New York for 5 years, and he understands more things than I do sometimes because he's so interested in local culture. He's just part of it. He's into hip-hop culture. He understands it very deeply because he likes it. He's interested in it. So there are many levels to learning a language, and I think a lot of people don't know that, don't understand that. But it's important to know and understand as you learn. And you shouldn't feel sad about that. You should feel happy about it. Because then all you have to do is find the thing about the culture that you're interested in, and it will be the doorway to everything else, to the whole language. Do I speak Chinese? A little. Do I like China? Yes, very much. I visit China maybe 3, 4, sometimes 5 times every year because I have a Chinese company in Beijing. And my wife is Chinese, so yes, I like China. Okay. Which TV series would you recommend for English students? That's a good question. I lost hope that I would ever learn English. I'm making mistakes all the time. It's really frustrating. So a couple things. Which show would I recommend? Well, it depends on what you're interested in, like I was saying. Generally speaking, some classic shows for improving English. A lot of people say that Friends, it's not a new show, it's finished. It was very popular about 20 years ago. But it's a good show, actually. It's a good show for learning. So I can recommend that one. It's funny, it's light, there are many episodes. So it's good. I like The Simpsons. That's a cartoon show. The Simpsons is quite funny, and you can get a lot of interesting cultural points. Yes, Lavender, I can speak some Chinese. Yes. But again, maybe you're not interested in funny shows, so you might try something a little more, I don't know, intellectual. Documentaries are good. I really like Planet Earth. Planet Earth is a great documentary. The speaking is obviously very clear, but you're going to hear more intellectual English there. Right? So that's one. If you're interested in more dark series, or things that are more maybe dramatic, you could try, perhaps you could try a Black Mirror is good. Black Mirror is a little dark, but it's very interesting. Black Mirror, and a lot of people like Game of Thrones. I would not recommend Game of Thrones because Game of Thrones is not natural spoken English. It's sort of a British accent. So Black Mirror is good, and also Westworld. I like Westworld. Westworld is quite good. This is a beautiful neighborhood. See these houses? It's really nice. Very nice. People are outside enjoying this weather. It's not too sunny, a little cloudy, not too hot. It's very beautiful. Okay, now someone said I always make mistakes. How do I reduce my mistakes? Well, I mean, there are lots of ways. The fastest way is to have a teacher who is there with you, correcting you. I take some students. I've taught some students one-to-one online classes, and that's really a fast way to improve. So that's one option. Obviously, it's more expensive. Then there's stuff you can do by yourself. And there are a lot of exercises that you can do to learn how to better think in English. I would really recommend the Building Your English Brain course. It's really good for people who want to learn how to think in English. So look in the description. The first link, you can see the courses that are available. The Building Your English Brain course will teach you how to do exercises that can train you to start thinking in English. Basically, if you want to improve, you can record yourself speaking and then go back and listen and make corrections. So here's an activity you can do. Sorry. Give yourself a question. Write down a question. Whatever it is. It has to be an open question. Like, across the street here. It has to be an open question. For example, what is the best city, the most interesting city you've ever visited? Describe it and explain why you liked it. Simple, easy question. Now, turn on your phone, open your recording app, and answer the question out loud in English. The most interesting city I've ever visited, I think, is a city in India called Rishikesh, which is in the north of India, not far from Haridwar. And I think it's very interesting because that city doesn't have many cars, and it's very peaceful, and it's beside the holy river in India called the Ganga. And there are a lot of yoga centers and meditation centers, cafes, very beautiful place to go. Also, you can get a feeling for Indian culture and Indian food. You can meet lots of interesting people, have interesting conversations with other people who have come maybe to find spiritual satisfaction. Okay, so you record the answer, okay? And then you go back, you listen to it, and you see if you can find some mistakes. You will find some mistakes. You will at least find things that could be better. Write them down. Listen to yourself speaking as though you're critiquing or listening to someone else speaking. It's not you, it's just someone speaking. What could be better about it? Were there any basic mistakes? Past tense verbs? Is there subject-verb agreement? right? He goes. Is it all correct? What are the mistakes? Write them down. What could be better? Are there any phrases that might be more specific or more interesting even? Better adjectives? What could be better? Write down notes. Then try again and try to remember the notes that you wrote down. This is a process of self-correction. By recording it, you're forcing yourself to be aware of yourself. Then the next step is to try to do that while you're speaking. Some people are able to do this really well. Some people are not. You have to train yourself to do it. People who can do accents quite well usually are very good at this. They're able to listen to what they're saying and then also compare that to what they've heard before and do an accent or copy a sound. Some people are not good at this at all, but it's very important. This is called self-awareness. So listening. There's a sort of system that you put in place, and it comes from practicing by recording and listening to yourself. You get used to that process. You get used to being aware of what you're saying. Then you kind of do that, listen as you're speaking. Make corrections as you go. This is not that hard. It's something that everybody should do, even if you're not a language learner. I really like to practice different accents, English accents from around the world. Australian English, New Zealand English, French English, Japanese English. I think it's fun. It's funny. Indian English. It's just funny to me. Not mean or anything. I like it, but I have to very carefully be able to hear what I'm saying so that I can make adjustments to the accent I'm trying or the way of speaking I'm trying. I have to do the same thing when I'm thinking about what to say when I'm speaking to students. Because I have to know what phrases not to use, what speed is correct. I have to very carefully listen and adjust as I go. This is a skill that you need. So do this exercise, and then over time, develop your awareness, your ability to hear what you're saying, to make corrections. Eventually, you'll get so good at it that it happens in your head. When it happens in your head and you're making corrections in your head before you speak, then you're close to fluent. It's a long process, but that's really important. And nobody thinks about that. People just think, oh, I'm just going to study some English today. I'm going to sit down and I'm going to remember 10 words. I'm not going to worry about how those words fit in a sentence. I'm not going to worry about whether or not English speakers actually use them. I'm just going to learn 10 words, and then I'll feel good about myself. And then I'll feel like I really improved my English. Okay, you feel good about yourself, but you probably just wasted an hour of your life. Seriously, it's a mess. People don't study correctly. People learn English the wrong way. It's just because learning words is a simple thing you can do. It's very easy. You just write them down, you remember it, and you say, ha, I did it, yeah. You wasted your time just now, probably. Much better if you do exercises to improve your awareness, to correct mistakes, to practice using those words that you're learning in sentences and make examples, right? To read and pick out words and phrases from context. These are much better. These are much better. So, yeah. All right, have I missed any questions? Good night, Leviter. Good night. 2 o'clock in the morning, very late. Can you name the very tall trees in that area? That's a funny question. I like your question. Yes, I'm going to name this tree. I'm going to name this tree. This tree's new name will be, this tree's new name is going to be Nestor. Nestor is the name of that tree there. Nestor. That tree here in Forest Hills, this tree's name is Nestor. Very good. Very nice. Okay, if I missed some questions, let me just review. You visited Puru, Ganga River in India. Very nice place. Self-awareness is always good. I studied journalism and PR years ago, but every day is a learning process communicating with different people. Yes, I totally agree. Journalism is a tough major. You have to learn different ways to communicate. And depends on what type of journalism you're learning, though. Sometimes people learn more broadcasting. Look at this. Look at this church. Beautiful. Beautiful church. Nice. This neighborhood is so quiet. Let me turn the camera around. No, the church is not open today. This one is not open today. Most churches are open all the time. Well, most of the day. This one is very small, I think. They don't have staff, maybe. I don't know. There's another big church nearby, and that one's open every day, I think. Let's see if this one can. You guys have any other questions about learning words, pronunciation? Let me just mention, for those of you who are just coming in, again, my name is Luke. We're live streaming here from New York City. This is a Q&A, which means you ask the questions and I do my best to answer. Questions generally about learning English, pronunciation, phrases, words, differences between words, explanations, tips, suggestions, difficulties, culture, whatever. Sunday service, 11 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sunday school. Wednesday service, 7:30 p.m. Saturday, 12 to 4 p.m. By the way, if you guys haven't already, make sure you... No, it's closed. Make sure... Oh, this is a good picture here. Yeah. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. So I really would appreciate if you find the red button and click on that to subscribe. That helps me a lot. If you enjoy the streams and the videos, check out my other videos. I have over 200 videos now. So you can learn a lot of things for free from my channel. But if you're a more serious English learner, I think you'll probably enjoy my full courses. So make sure to check those out. Just look in the description. It's the first link. You might like the English Brain one. That one's to teach you different exercises for learning to think in English. And it's a pronunciation one and a fluency one as well. This as a, I believe, sandstone. Or maybe it's just concrete. I don't know. Pretty nice. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. New York is interesting because it's very diverse. Diverse means there are a lot of different kinds of things in one place. Lots of diversity. So you may be walking along and you see a church. Maybe walking along some more and you see a Hindu temple. Maybe walking along some more, you see a mosque, and which is a place where Muslims worship. You may be walking along some more and you see a Buddhist temple. It's interesting. I think it's fascinating. I love to go to different types of temples and churches and explore. Like this one is cool, but I like going to temples as well. There's a Hindu temple not far away from my house. I go there sometimes. I just think it's interesting to walk around. It's very nice. But there's also a lot of diversity in terms of culture, you know, a lot of, for example, different kinds of food and things like that over there. Parties, some sort of ridiculous party happening over there. It's a very nice place to live. I really like it. People think it's this big city. Well, that's really just Manhattan. Queens is very quiet, peaceful. And then you can also go to the big city by subway. Wait, you're in New York City? I'm in Little Italy right now at the San Gennaro Festival. You're in Little Italy now? Really? There's a festival going on? That's cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I'm in New York now. I'm in Queens. So that's pretty far from where you are. But I like Little Italy. Little Italy is nice. I didn't know they had a festival going on. Very cool. When the customer source will be ready to buy? When will you launch the customer service course? Yeah, you can say, when will you launch it? Okay, so I actually finished filming the customer service course on Thursday. Completely finished filming. And I think you guys will hopefully enjoy it. It's honestly, if you don't do customer service, I think it will still be useful for people because it really teaches you how to speak politely and communicate clearly in English to resolve misunderstandings, to deal with someone who may be upset, angry, to ask people to wait, to tell people that it's their fault. There are lots of different areas of focus in the customer service course, and I took a lot of feedback from those of you who watched my video on YouTube about that, and so I included a lot of those suggestions, those requests in the course. So I hope you enjoy it. I'm really going to try to finish editing the course by the middle of October, and I hope to be able to launch the course before the end of October. I'm also preparing 2 other courses, actually 3 other courses, that I'm hoping to launch by the end of the year. So editing is a lot of work, very hard work, and it takes time. I'm going to do it as quickly as possible. All of the filming is done. That's also very hard work. All of the planning is done, also very hard work. Actually, the hardest part is probably the planning, because it's important to make sure that the whole course flows very well, and the whole course is coherent and fits. It's actually difficult to structure. So yeah, hopefully you enjoy it. But I will definitely announce it, and I'm planning on, when I launch the courses, having a really good price at the beginning. It'll be higher, more expensive than the other courses, but they'll start out at a really low price. What grade did I get in English? My English grades are always really good. I actually, when I was 17 years old, I got hired at a large newspaper as a journalist, as a writer. They didn't know I was 17 because I applied over the phone. And so I wrote several articles, including one which was featured on the front page of the newspaper. It was a big newspaper in my home state. And then they found out that I was 17, and they didn't give me any more stories because they found out I was only 17 and I was going around to people's houses and interviewing them and calling professional athletes. This guy's 17, we can't let him do that anymore. So I hope that tells you something. I think some people consider me a very, very good writer. I would hate to say I am, but you know, got hired by a very big newspaper at the age of 17. Not bad. And also, let's see, is there any other way for me to prove that? Well, I took the TOEIC test once. TOEIC, the TOEIC test. I got a full score, but it was very easy. It was an easy test. Any native English speaker should do pretty well, but you do have to really pay attention because it's boring. But I got a full score on that one. Teach more phrasal verbs, please. Why do people keep a revolver in the USA? Okay, so the phrasal verbs question, yes, I agree. There should be more phrasal verbs. Check my YouTube today at 5:30 p.m. US time. So in about 4 hours, I will be posting a brand new video about phrasal verbs. I'm going to be teaching you some phrasal verbs about sports. Okay? So, check that out. What about you, Bita? You should come to England and teach us English. I want to go to England. I'd love to go to England. England, England, England. I'm very interested in British culture, British humor. I understand British humor better than I understand American humor, to be honest. I think I missed one other question. Oh, the revolver question. Can Americans have guns? I also made a video about this topic. Yeah, Americans can have guns. It's an important part of the culture that we have guns. It's the second law in America, the right to have a gun. Most people would like to buy a gun if they have one for self-defense, to protect themselves if something happens. But I don't have one, and about 70% of Americans do not have one, right? So actually, it's not as common as people think. The other reason people may have a gun is hunting. Hunting is pretty popular in rural areas. A lot of people where I come from will hunt, and some people have guns just because they like guns. They enjoy having guns. They think they're cool. That's okay too. Yeah, it's a very deep part of American culture, very deep. And so it's probably not going to change at any time in the future, the gun culture. That's the reason. I mean, there is one other reason. The one other reason that's given is not really the reason anymore, but the basic reason was the idea that if you have guns, then if you need to start a new government and take over the one that's there now, you can do that if you have guns. If you don't, you can't. But nowadays, if you really wanted to do that, you'd have to have airplanes and tanks. Most people can't just go out and, I'm just gonna go and buy a tank. No way. So that's kind of a silly argument. Yeah, that government, to protect themselves from the government one, I really think is silly. I don't think, people who say that, I don't think they've carefully thought about it. I mean, maybe there are a couple people who committed some very small crimes and the government can't come and get them because they protect themselves with guns, but those are only a very few cases, very small number of people. But in reality, I mean, if the government really wanted to come in and stop those people or take them away, they could very easily with the snap of a finger. Bombs, drones, tanks. There's no competition. So I think it's a kind of a silly argument. I live in Iceland, but I come from, oh my goodness, how do you say that? £, LODZ. That is hard to say. Interesting. Interesting, very interesting. Makes me want to go to Iceland. All the people are looking at you funny because you're talking to a camera. Yes. But you know what? I really don't care. Doesn't bother me at all. I've been doing live streams like this for 2 years, and so I'm totally used to it. Walking around with a selfie stick and a camera and a phone. People are welcome to look. I'm happy. Fine. Do whatever you want. I'm free to walk around with a camera, and people are free to stare at me. No problem. No big deal. All right, guys. Any other questions? I think we'll stop here for today. I'm going to meet Mushroom. She's doing some design work. I'm going to help her with her design work, give her some feedback. And again, make sure you guys subscribe if you haven't already. I really appreciate that. Check out the courses in the link in the description. Now I'm living in Maidstone. Oh, Maidstone. Maidstone, interesting. I'll look that up. Yeah, so make sure you guys subscribe, check out the courses, and look out for the video that's going to be posted at 5:30 in a couple hours. It will be about sports, phrasal verbs. I think you will think it's interesting. Yeah, people usually visit church on Sunday morning. Typically for Christians, they'll visit church on Sunday morning. But there are also services at other times in the week, especially for Catholics. Catholics sometimes go on other days of the week. Am I a Christian? No, I'm not. I'm nothing. But I'm interested in religion. I'm interested. I'm very fascinated by religion. I just don't believe any religions. That makes me free to enjoy all of them. Go to temples and churches and enjoy the art, culture, the music. Very nice. There's my wife in there. She's in there. What was the other question? Luke, do you teach on an app like italki? No, I don't teach on italki. I know italki. I do teach some private lessons with private students, just online, one-to-one. I don't teach on any platform. Some students just, if they're interested in studying with me, I have some who do one-to-one classes, but no, I don't teach on any big platform like that. It's just something I do for students who, really want to improve quickly and who are very serious. But not everybody is, and it's not my main thing. Can you do a documentary on Islam? I would love to see that. I believe that religion which misunderstood by a lot of people. Well, yeah, it probably is. I think it probably is. I would have to learn a lot about it first, I think. And I think, a documentary about Islam would probably best be done by someone who grew up in Islam and really understands it deeply, because they will have a cultural perspective, whereas I'm coming from the outside, and I don't know that I understand any religion, even Christianity, very deeply, even though I grew up in a Christian family. So I would like to see a good documentary about it. Oh, an unbiased view? But I think my view is already kind of biased, right? Because I don't believe in any particular religion. So my view on Islam is already biased by the general belief that it's not true. Nor do I think Christianity is true. Interesting, yes. Culturally, beautiful, yes. Art, literature, yes, great. All that good stuff. And but I don't know. I can think about it. I'm very interested in someday doing a profile of religions without even saying anything, just showing the culture, the art, the beauty of religions. Just go in with a camera, have some beautiful music, and just show the different religious traditions. I think that would be really cool, like a baraka for religion. I don't know if you've ever seen that documentary called Baraka. It's awesome. It's awesome. That would be pretty cool. I would like to do that someday. But I just don't know if my unbiased view is actually unbiased. I think it's a little bit biased. I think I'm biased for sure, unfortunately. Oh, an Uber back home. I have a bicycle. I've got a bicycle over here. I hope you can come, Nestor, to New York and visit your tree. There's a tree named after you here now. Nestor's tree. A tree named Nestor. Thank you for your interesting streams. Luke, I really like your style. Wait a second, Svetlana? Svetlana, are you the person who was shouting at me before? Is that you? Using all caps? Did we have a fight a couple days ago? Was that you? All caps means start shouting. All right, guys. All right. Time to stop. I got to meet my wife. So again, thanks everybody for watching. I will definitely be back next Saturday. If we get more people on the Patreon, then I want to start a specifically Patreon stream, but maybe it won't happen. I don't know. Again, make sure to subscribe, check out the video tonight, and check out the courses in the link in the description. Have a good weekend, guys. It's time for me to go and get some more coffee. That's what I need. Bye-bye, everybody. Thanks again.